Since I seem to have forgotten about Destiny in between Baldur's Gate 3 and Warhammer Space Marine, Destiny developers have dropped a new live stream for the Destiny 2 Revenant Act 1, which is going to be coming out in approximately 7 days from now, October 8th, and I am excited. The changes do look good, and I'm just going to skip forward to the things that I think are interesting and not interesting. The modifier system, the potion crafting that we heard so much about, is finally revealed. Basically, it's going to be in terms of buffs to your artifact perks, and it's going to be buffs to discover rate and drop rate for specific weapons, kind of like Into the Light, like the developer said, how you can specifically attune to certain gear. These things aren't going to be craftable, they're going to be findable. Eventually, they will be craftable later on, whatever that means, whenever they're going to add that in, but that's how the tonics work, the potions work. The seasonal activity this season is basically Onslaught reskinned. As you can see, this is Widow's Court, where you're going to be fighting the Enhanced Scorn, or whatever the new Revenant enemy type name is. Anyway, yeah, it's a little bit different. The traps are different. There's going to be a turret returning. Essentially, the turrets on the moon from Destiny 1 or in some of the Combined Arms maps. The mines are getting an overhaul, where they all drop stasis crystals or do stasis damage, just so they're a little bit more useful, causing slowing fields. There's going to be airstrikes, kind of like the ones that you received during the final missions for Lightfall and during the Witness 12-man mission. You have those big orbital lasers. As you can see, there's a turret right there, and these trip mines on the wall that are improved with stasis. As you can see, these are all rotating throughout the other maps, so it's just getting buffs to all the traps that already existed. Besides that, there's a new Onslaught boss. It teleports you into a ship and you kill it. Not much interesting about that. Onslaught is pretty much the same. What is a tiny bit more interesting is the second primary ammo grenade launcher. We have seen the weapon that is currently in the developer's hands right now. It is a stasis primary ammo grenade launcher that on kill picks up an orb, a revenant, similar to the way Lumina works, whereas once you fill up the bar 50% of the way, you do a special reload and you are able to shoot a special ammo brick. If you fill it up 100% of the way and then do a special reload, you'll be able to shoot a heavy ammo brick. This is really more of a support weapon, but it is yet another primary ammo grenade launcher, the second we have ever seen, like Fighting Lion. So infinite ammo, this is a dedicated support weapon pretty much. I think it is going to be fun, and it shoots like Mountaintop does the micro missile. It doesn't have the same juice as something that Mountaintop does, but it looks interesting enough. The seasonal artifact this season is the Slayer Baron's Apothecary Satchel. The name and the model really doesn't matter. It looks okay. What does matter is the fact that most of the seasonal mods are going to be themed after stasis, as you can see by some of the crystals, and also as indicated by the arrows next to a couple of those artifact mods. They are boosted by the tonic that I was talking about earlier. You can make those tonics and it basically boost your artifact mods. We'll have to do testing to see how effective those are, but G is sure to post a twit detailing the actual names and all of the perk descriptions, how powerful these things are, but it looks like it's going to be themed around grenade launchers and it's going to be themed around stasis. So big W for stasis enjoyers. They're adding another free earnable skimmer for the Festival of the Lost. It's called the Zerf board. I think it looks pretty cool. It's a skimmer. Oh well, moving on. Good for those of you who haven't spent any money, and bad for those of you who earned one during the Guardian Games and thought you were special. Too bad. There's going to be another. I think it's better than the first one. For the Dungeon Raid Raise, we are getting a jacket and a bracelet. The first 3 fire teams that complete it will be getting embroidered jackets for free at the cost of Bungie, so prepare to wait a year for that. Anyways, I think it's pretty cool. It's probably one of the few Bungie merch items that I would be willing to buy and actually, wear out in public. And the results that we already knew, all of the ornaments for Festival of the Lost. We have Shadow Hunters, Shadow Warlocks, and the Good Guy Titans this time. So Titans are going to be the odd one out this time with the good set. The other sets are bad. I like them all. I personally would prefer the good sets for Hunter rather than the bad set, according to the concept art, but this is Festival of the Lost, so. And besides that, in terms of content, we got approximately another 45 minutes of yapping, none of which is useful, none of which is relevant until the new DLCs drop, basically saying that the DLC packs are going to be the size of Rise of Iron, but there's only going to be one raid and one dungeon a year. A little bit of design philosophy behind it. It is an interesting watch if you are a game developer and want to see reasons to try to justify to your community why they're sticking with Destiny 2 and not continuing with Destiny 3. But now we are going to be moving on to the blog post that they posted. Alright, here it is, Developer Insight Next Generation Armor. TLDR, armor will be a more active, interesting part of build crafting. Stats will be reworked to be more impactful, less confusing, and less constraining. Set bonuses will be introduced to give individual armor sets a more unique identity and build crafting elements. That's it. Thank you for watching. Alright, being serious for a second, rolling down, they kind of give us their design philosophy, the problem, the years, blah blah blah. Shadow keeps armor 2.0. Armor has been static. I feel the same for this. I agree with them. I have basically had the same set of armor I wear now since Season of the Haunted. I earned all of my gear since Season of the Haunted. The current seasonal set bonus where you get minor reputation gain increases, those actually don't matter to me. I have the stat splits that I want. I have enough armor to sustain those stat splits on all of my characters except for Titan, really. I really just have enough pieces of gear around where I can build craft to make anything possible with at least 2 stats 100, 1 stat being 80. Some people aren't satisfied until they have triple 100s, or some people having quad 100s. Anyway, I always thought it was a little bit dumb that the tiers moved in forms of 10 basically every 10 points, and points 1 through 9 essentially did nothing. Their solution to this: stats on armor will be changing in Codename Frontiers in order to make them more player friendly. Stat effects will no longer be tiered every 10 points. Each stat point will provide a benefit. Awesome. Basically, stat effects are going to be capped at 200 with range 101 to 200, providing additional powerful effects on building the base stat effect. Essentially, they're going to be doubling the numbers, kind of, but making sure that every point actually matters. I would say, I don't know why they chose to do 200, maybe just to make the numbers make sense. Maybe they could have uncapped or even increased a lot of the numbers on the old armor sets, basically make it so that like base 73 was the highest you can get on legendaries, and like 78 base stat total would be the highest you can get on exotics before masterworking. In addition to the above changes, distribution on stats armor will also be changing. Legendary armor will have a stat archetype, which determines the primary and secondary stat types, third being a free roll. Basically, instead of having your ghost mod set to resilience and you get a bunch of armor with 10 plus resilience and everything else is garbage, basically it's going to mean every time you get an armor drop, 2 of the stat columns are going to be spiky, and the third one is going to have a chance to be as spiky as the first 2, which means that you still have something to grind for. It's still going to be important, as we can see right here, strength and like discipline, basically taking it back to the 3 stat meta that we had at the beginning of Destiny 1, but I don't really think that applies too much. Armor 1.0, obviously it's closer to Armor 2.0. Anyway, new stats: discipline 1 to 100 grenade cooldown, 1 to 200 provides increasing chance to gain a bonus grenade charge whenever your grenade becomes available. Stat renamed to grenade to improve readability. I thought discipline was fine. I thought melee was fine for discipline and strength. Anyway, from 101 to 200 provides an increased chance to gain bonus melee charge whenever your power melee becomes available. Stat renamed to melee to improve readability. So effectively speaking, it's going to be linear or scalar. I have no idea how they're going to determine the recharge rate from 1 to 100 as it stands now. Basically, you shave off like 6 to 7 seconds depending on your grenade type per tier you go up. It's probably going to be like, all right, well, for every point you have, it's going to take off like 0.1333 repeating seconds from your grenade, and at 100 it'll max out at like whatever it is, a decrease of like 133 seconds or whatever it is. My math is a little bit cooked. Same thing for melee. I like this system already just way more because I always thought it was dumb, basically getting a piece of armor that you couldn't use because it meant that one of your stats was 99, and it was basically almost impossible to build craft. Armor stat build crafting was always the worst part about this armor system. Forget what you think about mods. I think mods have a bit of an identity crisis where every piece of armor is the same. I miss elemental wells. Anyway, second major change to armor is set bonuses. So basically, how we have set bonuses now that essentially give you things like bonus reputation. Whenever you go to the vendors, we're going to be getting a couple of different themes for set bonuses. As it stands right now, Text Mechanica, you're going to be getting 2 different perks the more pieces you have, basically encouraging you to actually wear these individual pieces rather than just using your transmog, but transmog is also going to play a part into it. Text Mechanica, while shooting from the hip, increased movement speed and weapon handling either increases when you score hits for perk 1, basically just making Text Mechanica better, and for having 4 pieces, whenever your Text Mechanica weapons have increased range and accuracy when hip fired, basically adding subclass modifiers to existing weapon foundries. In this case, it's only going to be Tex Mechanica for the beginning. Expect this to be added to the Spire of the Watcher dungeon. To the Spire of the Watcher dungeon armor. It wouldn't make sense considering that all of those weapons are Tex Mechanica. Non-stop aggression. Final blows with freshly reloaded weapons heal you. This is going to be interesting to see if on a shotgun or a fusion rifle if on a shotgun that reloads with one individual shot, not a magazine reload like War of the Wolves, if a fresh reload counts as just putting one shell into the tube, or if it counts as from 0 to 100% of your magazine. Because this, I feel like, could be crazy with the way we used to see 1-2 punch work in Destiny 1, where, you know, you just shot one shot, you punched, shot one shot, reload, back and forth, back and forth. Damaging a target with a shotgun or fusion rifle increases the damage it takes from those weapons for a short time. I don't fully understand what this means. Maybe if you don't kill it on the first shot, it just takes more damage from the second shot. I mean, now that I actually think about it, that seems pretty simple. This, like I said, just got out of work. This is my first time reading this. Demolition Expert directs hit with explosive weapons temporarily increase the reload speed. This will be really good for the grenade launcher themed. Repeated direct hits with explosive damage weapons temporarily increase grenade ability damage. This is going to be absolutely crazy on primary grenade launchers like Fighting Lion, like the new exotic one we were seeing from the season pass, that primary stasis one. Fighting Lion is also getting a rework that whenever you hit somebody with the grenade, they're going to be volatile. That is going to be new. It is a little bit of a rework. They said that during the live stream. I didn't cover it because I didn't want to include their audio. Vanguard Operative. Activating your grenade gives you and nearby allies damage resistance against combatants, and defeating champions with a finisher generates special ammo for you and your fire team. Standard support. Basically your standard support armor. Good armor dedicated to have their own unique roles, whether that be unique roles towards gameplay, being Demolition Expert and Vanguard Operation, whether that be something where you can roleplay a lot harder with your Tex Mechanica weapons, which aren't fantastic weapons, so this is just a little bit of something that's going to make them better, and something like Non-Stop Aggression, where it's super interesting. That's all I'll say. I really like the idea of the heal. We'll have to see how much, whether it be 10 points or 30 points or 60 points. I don't know what fresh reveal means, because this is pretty much only going to be applicable for shotguns and fusion rifles and other special weapons, depending on the time frame. But it specifically calls out shotguns and fusion rifles, so I would assume it's going to be a fairly short time frame. FAQ. For all you people that collected all of your old armor, what happens to my old armor? Old legendary armor will be changed as little as possible because the change to stats, mechanics, and types are global changes. Basically, they can't change it. They're going to have some determination on what stats are increased, because basically the amount of stat numbers we have is going to be doubling, so obviously you would be at a clear disadvantage if you just used all of your old armor. Exotic armor, same dealio. They're not focusing on exotic armor. They're basically going to allow the chance for players to increase the stats. Class items are now actually getting full stat rolls rather than just being your mod plus your masterwork, so class items now actually have stats that you need to farm. Yippee. And the exotic class item, you are going to be able to manually choose through point investment the amount of points that are going to be in those stats, just so you don't have to regrind all of your good class items. It's going to be something that you can choose to bring down the line, basically just to make your build a little bit better, to flesh out some extra points if you need them, but that only applies to exotic class items. My vault is full, and they basically just said, here, we can't make Destiny 3 right now, but we also can't make the vault more full unless we get rid of something. A little bit of copium. I think my favorite part about this is the chest armor that says chesty. Yeah, that's pretty much it. I have nothing else to say. I thought it was a perfectly serviceable live stream. They're reusing old content smart, despite the fact that I don't like the way Onslaught uses Crucible maps. I understand why they're doing it. They're not really changing the formula, they're just changing the modifiers to that formula, if it makes sense. The new exotic grenade launcher looks cool. We saw a brief glimpse of the artifact mods, and we saw a brief glance of a new warlock piece of exotic that essentially turns your stasis turrets into stasis buddies, but we'll get more information on that when the twid drops. Anyway, that's pretty much it. Yeah, thank you for watching.